Welcome to the Pet Loss Companion. I'm Dolan-Del Vecchio. I'm here with my friend and co-author, Nancy Saxton-Lopez. And this is a program that we do live on Facebook and YouTube every Thursday from 6 p.m. Eastern to about 6:30, give or take. And then it is posted on a whole bunch of podcast outlets. And so thank you for joining us if you're joining us live or if you are joining us one of the rebroadcasts. And this program is kind of the 2.0 of a book that we wrote called The Pet Loss Companion, Healing Advice from Family Therapists Who Lead Pet Loss Groups. It's a way for us to continue having a discussion about this issue, providing support, and actually having a dialogue with audience members. And so we encourage you, a lot of what we do during this broadcast is we read stories by people who have sent us their stories of their animals' lives, the end of their lives, how they're doing with their healing. And we read their stories and then we talk some about them. And it's proven to be really helpful for people who are going through the same kind of thing, going through a loss to hear other people's stories. So if you'd like to send us your story, you can reach me at kenddv @gmail.com. You can reach Nancy at nsaxtonlopez at csmpc.com. All of this information I'm sharing in the beginning appears also in the description that accompanies the program. So if I move through it fast, you've got a reference point.
Yes, you go back down and look.
You can read our email correspondence with listeners by subscribing to our Substack. And so you can see the back and forth that we have with listeners and also all of their beautiful pictures. And this is the content that is shared by people who are willing to have us share it. And so it's also a way that you can support us because there's a bit of there's a $5 a month subscription fee for that. But if you do write to us, please let us know if it's okay to share what you've written to us. If it's not, we're going to respond to you anyway. Either one or both of us will respond, but we'd like to know that when you write to us. You can support the program in a number of other ways through Venmo, a Venmo contribution or PayPal, or a monthly subscription on Spotify. We'd like you to know that this program is a friend of Dakin Humane Society in Springfield, Massachusetts. Dakin is an adoption rescue center that does all kinds of wonderful programming that's helpful to people and their beloved animal companions. And one of those programs is a monthly pet loss Zoom meeting that I facilitate. It is cost-free for you to participate. And the RSVP link is in the description. And if you do RSVP, please keep in mind that if you can't make it, let me know. Send me an email and let me know so that we'll reopen the participation availability. And this is a really interesting meeting. We had our August one just a couple of days ago. And I think we had more people from Canada. Well, we didn't have more people from Canada, but we had a number of people from Canada. And we had one person from Australia and people from all across the United States. It's a very interesting mix of perspectives and experiences, always very soothing and helpful because people get to share their recommendations and their experience and their strength with each other. If you can and you think that it's useful, please, if you think this program is useful, please subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. It makes the program more accessible. It affects the algorithm in a way that makes the program pop up quicker when people are looking for pet loss support. And if you leave a comment, that also helps, or a comment, a thumbs up, just any kind of interaction with the program helps to raise its visibility, which is very germane to what we're going to be doing this particular program. One final thing, we'd like you to know that we have an affiliation with a business called Bereave that makes these really beautiful granite engraved plaques, memorial plaques that you can put on a memorial garden or a gravesite, or you can keep at home with your other mementos. If you purchase a plaque from Bereave using the link in our description, I'll repeat that, using the link in our description, you will then be giving us a little bit of a kickback of support for the program as well. And Nancy is...
Yes, here's Bailey.
They sent us a really nice sample. We
It's very
wouldn't be
heavy.
sharing it with you if we didn't find it valuable. So it's really it's a quality memento. And so, Nancy, do you want to get us started for tonight?
So as Ken said, we're going to present some comments. We did this, I don't know, a few months ago. Actually, tonight is our 200th episode. So we're happy about that.
Yes.
But yeah, we did this before, and people seem to like it. So I'm going to read the first two. This is from Heidi, and Heidi's story we did
last week.
Last week, right? Although she has a different handle. She has her YouTube handle on this. But I'm going to read the two comments she had made. And the second one is pretty interesting that we're going to talk about. So 6 days ago, Heidi wrote, "Thank you, Ken and Nancy, for reading and sharing our story. I watched and listened with many tears. I know it would be so emotional for me. I appreciate both your kind words and reflections, and for reading every single one of my words so compassionately. I'm so sorry it was such a long story for you to read. I miss my baby girl so much." Of course.
So I just want to say again that we are okay with long stories. We can be flexible with our time. And if you take the time to write to us and you let us share your story, I think we always share the whole thing. I mean, there might have been one or two times when we got something that was maybe like 20 pages and we knew that that would be just too much for the time that we have. But we also sometimes run a little bit over because we're not tied to an absolutely strict schedule. But there's nothing to apologize in that. And the stories that we get, including Heidi's, are so detailed in their description of what a person's going through. We know that that's helpful for other people to hear because it breaks the isolation in a way that's really powerful. And so that's something that we think is really valuable. And we have a comment right now from Kate who said, "My story was so long and you read the whole thing."
Yes.
Thanks, Kate, for reminding us of that.
Yes. You really put your heart and soul into talking about this amazing relationship that you have with your companion animal. And then what happens at the end, which is so profound and traumatic for a lot of people, right? And so it is important to write that out. We've talked about that a lot. It's cathartic.
You take the time to write it. We're going to take the time to read it.
So, but the second one, this is an interesting one because I don't know when we had Danielle McKinnon.
Yeah, this was Danielle McKinnon in response to Danielle McKinnon's
the podcast we had with her, who is an animal communicator. And we had to talk about this too before the show, actually, we did with Danielle. So 1 month ago, Heidi said, "When I hear Danielle say that they, our animals, plan how and when they go, my first question is, why would my dog want to do it that way for me? Especially anyone who is dealing with an emergency vet situation like me. I'm in deep, deep grief with a lot of guilt and self-blame. Please tell me why she wanted to happen this way when I'm here suffering so much now with how it all ended up happening. How could it be possible that she would want that for me? Please help." Legitimate question here. I just want to know, because this is not how I wanted my girl to go. I wanted to be at home in peace and calm and be with her and hold her and cuddle her and kiss her until the end and tell her how much I loved her. Why would they not want that for their passing? I'm devastated over it all, and I can't help but think I'm stuck with this end for her in my mind forever. I feel jealous of people who get their somewhat perfect, respectful, peaceful goodbye, where they can then feel at peace with knowing they did that with them. Okay, so we had questions for Danielle in this particular situation, right? And she was very clear. She goes, "I don't like it either. You know, I have issues with it, but that's what the animals tell me." And so it's a hard thing to believe that our animals pick a certain way to die.
Yeah, and when I hear that, I try to find the words that best capture this. I feel like one of the messages is that the soul is bigger than just the one experience of the animal's life that we see, and that it is both inside the animal and outside the animal, just like it's inside us and it's bigger than us.
Right.
And that this is just one of the ways, one of the things that we just don't know. We're just not clear on. So, I mean, also, I'm not sure that made any sense at all.
No. And I think it does.
But I've seen, and I'm also going to just make a comment about, if you have a chance, read some of the work or listen to some of the videos by a British guy named Rupert Sheldrake. Rupert Sheldrake.
Somebody told me about him.
Because I was just talking with you about him recently.
Right.
He's written several books, and he's got several interesting videos online, and he tackles the issue of communication at a distance, communication with animals, communication once people are gone from this life and animals are gone from this life. And I'm actually going to see, once I read a little bit more, I'm going to see if he'd be willing to come and talk with us. I don't know. I have no idea if he would. But he's researched these kinds of things for a very long time and has some interesting perspectives on it that are kind of on the edge of what's considered normal science at this point. And so he's kind of a apostate within the scientific community, but he's done a lot of research. So I feel like this is a big question mark for me too. However, there's so much we don't know. I mean, I've said this. I've seen my animals. I've felt their presence after they're gone.
Yeah.
I think there is more to
than what we know, or
more to this life, and more to the soul, more to relationships than we're at all keyed into on a day-to-day basis. And so, but I think that the question is important, and we don't have an answer for it, but it's interesting to hear it raised again. And the only thing I can think of that relates to this is the idea that life is full of often very painful lessons, and that somehow this is one of them. And that we don't understand why that would be, and certainly would never invite it. But that's kind of the only way I can make any sense of it. And so those are my thoughts, as incoherent as they may be.
They weren't incoherent. But I also remember Daniel saying exactly what you started with, is that our spirit is larger than our body containment, right? And people,
that's a better way of saying it.
Right? And people have said that, well, they're going over the bridge alone, but they're not, because part of our spirit is there to catch them.
Yeah, she said that we are actually meeting them.
Yeah, we meet them at the bridge.
Our spirit is bigger than what's broadcast into our body.
Right.
So, I mean, all of this is hard to conceptualize.
Wrap your head around.
Yeah, it's hard to conceptualize. So, maybe read more of what she's written. So the Rupert Sheldrake's book that I'm recently rereading, I've read it before, is called Dogs That Know When Their Owners Are Coming Home. And it's about the ways that animals, I'll tell you that right now. Okay, so right now I have here flea 5 times plus for cats, right? My cat, when I'm in my office, is all over me. She knows that I'm waiting for her. There's no way. It's not like I just put it in my office this morning, but I haven't seen her all day. I mean, I know where she is. She's out in the garden. But she's usually all over me, but somehow
she knows.
And how I don't know, but there are so many ways of knowing, and so many things about our relationships that are really outside the normal everyday realm of understanding. But I'll tell you, I'm reading his book, and this is one of them. Like they know. Like, for example, a lot of animals know when you are looking for them to go to the vet,
and they'll hide.
And that you haven't done anything, like you haven't gotten out there carrying crate or any, they just know, and they're hiding, particularly cats. And so there's it, but I can tell you that's what's going on with Esme. Here it is.
Right now, she doesn't want to play that.
Esme, where are you?
But I do think
I will nab her tomorrow.
I know you're going to have to, right? You're going to have to. She's going to need that. But I do think this is a subject that we will continue to talk about on this program over time, because it is a very provocative one, right?
Yep.
So, but thank you, Heidi. I mean, I'm glad that Heidi wrote about this, because we were also very confused and didn't like. I mean, why would you want to get hit by a car? These kind of things, right?
I also said, so we may have another author come and speak with us.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah, right.
In her book, I mean, her book is really much about animal communication, her experience of communicating with her animal through a communicator. And that communicator, if I'm not wrong, says that the spirit exits through the backside too. So I don't know.
Said the same thing. Oh, yeah, interesting.
So there's some sort of consensus around some of this.
Interesting.
Content. I'll show another comment by Kate. Kate says, 6 weeks to the day that my boo-boo passed, I woke up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and she was on my mind. Out the bathroom window, I noticed one very bright, pulsing, twinkling star all alone in the night sky. I grabbed my phone so I could use my app to identify it, but my tired, weary eyes couldn't make it out. So I took a screenshot. In the morning, I looked it up. Arcturus is the brightest star in the northern constellation of Boots.
Abbreviation
Boo.
Boo.
Oh. And is there more? I can't read.
There's some more. But
there is more, but I think I can't read it because it's on Facebook and it's not.
But how about that though? See, look what happened there. So,
I mean, there's so many of these kinds of things. Again, Rupert Sheldrake, he writes.
Right, yeah.
And he experiments with it, so it's really, really interesting. Oh, and then and I continue to see that star when I'm really missing my girl. She's coming to me in star form to visit.
I'm so happy, Kate, that's happening.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Wonderful.
So,
all right,
okay, so we'll move on to another one.
Okay. This is the video I made.
We don't know exactly their name because it's her handle, but it's Sosequez.
Sosequez.
I'm not saying that right. And it's in response to a video that I put up a long time ago, just on making the decision about euthanizing. It's actually part of the content that I used with the University of Vermont when I was
when you were writing that
content for their doula program. And she writes, I know this is an older video, but your channel was linked on the Reddit pet loss subreddit. I have a kitty who is losing a battle with lymphoma right now, and we are unfortunately at the point of considering euthanasia. I just wanted to say that I appreciate your channel. I've been going through your videos, and I feel a bit less silly about how distraught I am over my cat, because he's been my baby ever since we adopted him. Watching him lose this battle has been so hard. He's so weak that he seems to be uncomfortable with even cuddling right now. He used to always lay on my chest. It's been hard grappling with this preliminary grief. Your channel is helping me, though. I'm happy to know there are other people out there who love and care about their animal companions as much as I love mine. Also, my name
is Esme.
Esme, too, like your little other kitty, smiley face. So we're very happy to hear that it's gratifying to know that you're not alone. I mean, that's
and also euthanasia. I mean, the anticipatory grieving, the understanding that at some point in time that your companion animal, your beautiful baby, will die or will need to be euthanized.
Yep.
And that they just don't live long enough. And we go through that pain, and the pain can be so outrageously devastating. But that also just tells you how wonderful and amazing the relationship is with them.
Yep.
Right. And how many, and I like what you said with Heidi last week too. We were talking about it. You know, for one thing to happen, and it's a horrible, difficult thing to happen at death, but it's a small part of how many years
Oh yeah, it's
that we've had such a joy
yeah,
and connection and comfort and
yeah.
all of those wonderful things.
And all of that is what matters
Yeah.
much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Michael, I'm going to read 1 month ago. I just put down my 14-year-old yellow Labrador. He had a stroke and lost complete control of his legs and balance. It hurt me immediately when I knew he couldn't move. I had him put down the next day. His annual checkup turned into euthanasia. I'm so happy he isn't suffering anymore. He was diagnosed with immune-mediated hemolyte anemia, I believe, in March of 2021. It gave me 3 more beautiful years. I will miss him until we are reunited again, but so grateful he got to grow as an old man. And I was there until his final breath. I don't think a pet owner could ask for anything more than that. I still cry, but it's because I miss him. That's a beautiful piece.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he's when he says, "I still cry," but it's because I miss him. So he sees his tears as a symbol of the love that he had and still has for his friend.
And he appreciates so much, right? That he looks back on the life that he had with his lab and his best friend, his pal, right? And grateful for that time, even though it was very hard. But he knew he was suffering, and so he made that decision to help him not suffer anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's a great life, and that's a great perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
most of us get there eventually.
Yeah.
Take whatever time it takes. Where we remember them, and even if there are some tears, we see the tears as emblematic of the love that we have for them, that we'll always have for them.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess we'll read one more.
Yeah, we have
from Tamara.
Yeah, Tamara.
And she says, "Hello, Ken and Nancy. I must tell you how shocked I was, pleasantly so, watching this video and hearing my name and commenting about my feelings on euthanasia being read on your podcast." Now, she's actually referring to the May program where we did this for the first time, where we read comments, and we read her comment. So she's commenting.
She's having another comment.
Yeah. So, and she's commenting my feelings being read on your podcast. I just had to make that decision 2 months ago for my precious baby, Jadzia. She was the first and only cat we had to make that decision for. The other 3 that went before her all died naturally and unassisted. It was a difficult choice to make, but not as difficult as I thought it would be. She had several chronic health issues that we were treating and maintaining. All in all, she was doing fairly well, considering she was 16 and a half years old with chronic kidney disease, a heart block, and wasting syndrome. She was the only cat we had that had both an internist and a cardiologist that saw her every 3 months. Well, 2 months ago, she had her lungs fill up with fluid, pleural infusion. We had them perform the thoracentesis procedure to drain her lungs. The procedure took so much out of her. It took her 2 full days to recover, and the fluid was back 6 days. 6 days after draining it. We couldn't keep putting her through it. We took her to our primary care vet, and he said she had days, not weeks to live. He also said if we were lucky, her heart would just stop and she would go quickly. But the more likely scenario would be that her lungs would fill up and she would suffocate very slowly. So coupled with the fact that she was on her way out anyway, and us not wanting to risk her suffering a terrifying death, we opted to give her a peaceful passing. We had the hospice vet service lap of love come to our home. She left with both her mom and dad with her as not sure what
Yeah, she made her way to
as
the.
she made her way to the afterlife. It was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make, or I should say we had to make, but I know it was the right one. I don't feel guilty. I thought I would, but I don't. I know we did the right thing and spared her from an agonizing death. And as you always say, we end their suffering so ours can begin. And I think we borrowed that from
Yeah, we did from was it Angela? I don't
Angela.
remember,
Yeah.
but that's a good one.
I know we did the right thing. We end our suffering, so we end their suffering so ours can begin. If I could have taken years off my own life to give to her, I would have. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Anyway, I just want to finish up by saying that I really enjoy this format of sharing comments. I hope you do it more often. So this is one of the comments that made us feel like, yeah, we should do this because people
Right.
appreciate it. And it's just another way of sharing stories. So we have one other comment. Let's read that before we
Okay.
wrap up. And this is from Olive, who says, they say when a feather falls can usually be taken as
Yes.
a sign that your
Mhm.
angels are watching over you. My pom-pom passed 4 months ago, and I'm waiting for a feather to fall. I received a feather 3 days ago, a white piece of feather. And she spelled peace, P-E-A.
Well, it is peace, right, for your heart.
I felt really happy. I think my pom-pom is really an angel now, watching over me. I want you to know that I'm really thankful that I found Ken and Nancy when I needed someone the most. And my other is pregnant now, the daughter of my pom-pom. I hope her pup will look like her.
Oh,
And that's
Olive.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yes,
And I
I'm
really like that
glad
she
you
wrote
got a feather. Oh,
PEAC. That's quite
I
poetic.
love that. Right.
So we're going to close, and we thank you for being with us. And we'll do this again. Maybe
We'll do this
every
again as
every few
the
months.
comments come in. We will
Yeah.
put them together, and we will continue to talk about the things that are so difficult for us. And a lot of times that has to do with illness, death, and euthanasia. But that's what we're here to try to help people move through this in a loving, caring way.
Yep. Okay. So Nancy, great
See you
talking with
next
you as
week.
always. Thank you for joining us, those who are here
Yes.
live, and
Thank
thanks
you.
for joining us, those who will see the replay.
Take care.